Hello, I'm Susan Sarandon. In the previous program of Mythos, Joe Campbell used the symbols of Kundalini Yoga to take us up through the stages of consciousness we pass on the way to illumination, from our animal instincts to the experience of God. In this, the final program on Eastern philosophy and religion, Joe turns his attention to Tibet. As you may recall, by translating our experience of life into a spiritual exercise, Kundalini Yoga brought us finally to identification with the divine, the moment of illumination. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, however, translates the experience of death into a spiritual exercise. It starts at the point of illumination and follows the path of the Kundalini downward. Before starting this inward journey, Joe takes us back to the place and time when Buddhism was carried beyond the borders of India.
I want to move now up to the northern area, and instead of giving us a tour of the country, I want to give us a tour of the psyche. And I'm going to do this by way of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Around 100 BC, a road is opened from Rome through the Near East, across the great deserts and all, to Chang'an, the capital of China at that time. And it branched off in northwest India down into India. There's a back and forth traffic there. And you might say that all the world is sharing one great mythology and philosophy with different local inflections. And now I want to show you a surprise. In the first years of this century, there were a number of German scholars who learned about these roads and decided to go out and explore and see what they would find. There was a beautiful exhibit in the Metropolitan last year of what was found. It's stunning. When the Muslims came in, they cut those routes, and the sands poured over, and the civilization was wiped out. So here's one of the explorers going through the deserts. That's the kind of desert he crossed. Here is his camel train crossing the desert. You know, the Bactrian camels, two-humped camels. By the way, Camel cigarettes have pictures of a dromedary, an Arabian dromedary, which is a racing camel with one hump. And dromedary dates have pictures of Bactrian camels. So this is his team of camel men. This is Lop Nor. Look on the map and see where we are. It's nothing but desert, desert, desert. Here is one of the monuments he's going to excavate. They excavate. So what's inside? Some murals. Isn't that a Jewish angel? Definitely. This is a Near Eastern figure. It's a Caucasian person. And the wings, that's a Western idea. The wings represent spiritual flight. But in India, you don't have wings. You have people in spiritual flight. This is Western art, and that's a Western man. There's another. I told you where we were, out in Lop Nor. Just to give you an idea of what must have been going on those routes. The Manichaeans, Christians. There's the Buddha as a Caucasian. The monks, you can see those now in any of these ashrams. This is a Christian mural. Palm Sunday with the palms. So these religions are right together there. And the dates here are BC. And first 2 centuries AD, that period. Let's say 2 centuries BC, 2 centuries AD, the mixture back and forth. These centuries, the first 5 or 6 centuries, are the centuries of great Buddhism in Asia. Now, Buddhism came to Tibet rather late, 9th century or so, 8th and 9th centuries. There was a king who had 2 wives. One was Chinese and the other was Indian, and both of them were Buddhists. And he began sending to India 4 teachers, and one after another, very great teachers from the India of those centuries, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th centuries. At this time, Buddhism was in its most elaborate, developed phase. The Muslims came in starting around 1001 and go across the north of India, smashing. And Buddhism is extinguished in India at that time. So you could wipe Buddhism out by killing all the monks. But the leaders of Hinduism were the priests and the family men. And Hinduism survived, but Buddhism was extinguished. Well, Buddhism has been extinguished again with the Chinese invasion in 1959. That was the end of it. But in the interval, there was preserved in Tibet, as though in a pickling jar, the Buddhist forms of the highest, most sophisticated tantric developments. And I want to give a sense of that in this afternoon's talk.